What would you do if the most trusted brand in the world suddenly changed overnight? No warning, no build-up, just boom, it's different. That's exactly what happened in 1985 when Coca-Cola made a decision so shocking, it triggered public outrage, caused mass confusion, and nearly tanked the company's reputation. The story of Coca-Cola's $10 billion mistake isn't just about soda. It's a lesson about trust, branding, and what happens when companies lose touch with their audience. It sits right up there with the Schlitz beer collapse and the story of Joseph Jacobs, classic cases of good intentions turning into disasters. But what really happened? That fear-driven mindset led Coca-Cola to a secret experiment behind the scenes. By the early 1980s, Pepsi was becoming a serious threat to Coca-Cola's dominance. Their famous Pepsi Challenge campaign was turning heads across America. It featured everyday people doing blind taste tests between Pepsi and Coke. To Coca-Cola's shock, most participants preferred Pepsi. It wasn't fake. It was real footage, and it had real impact. Pepsi's sweeter, more modern taste was winning over younger audiences, and Coca-Cola couldn't ignore it. Even though Coca-Cola was still the market leader, the company's executives were worried. Deep down, they feared the tide was turning. In their minds, Pepsi wasn't just catching up, it was about to overtake them, and that triggered full-blown panic. Instead of trusting what made Coca-Cola iconic, its heritage, its emotional connection, its place in culture, the company got caught up in short-term numbers. They believed they had to change to survive, and not just tweak the brand, but change the formula entirely. With their minds made up, they prepared to roll it out publicly. Behind closed doors, Coca-Cola began experimenting with a new formula. They called it Project Kansas. The company believed if they could make something that tasted better than both Pepsi and Original Coke, they could stop Pepsi's momentum. In lab tests, the new formula was a hit. People picked it over Pepsi and the classic Coke. Encouraged by these results, executives made a bold decision: completely replace the original with this new version. They didn't realize they were setting themselves up for one of the worst business mistakes in modern branding. And just like the Manny Show real voice rumors that confused fans online, this new taste confused loyal Coke drinkers in real life. The backlash was instant and intense. In April 1985, the announcement was made. Coca-Cola, as the world knew it, was over. The company launched New Coke with a fresh formula and retired the original version entirely. The media called it bold, the executives called it necessary, but the people? They called it betrayal. This move was supposed to stop Pepsi's growth, but instead, it made customers furious. In just days, complaints began pouring in. People didn't care about taste tests. They cared about memories, tradition, and what the red can stood for. But beyond the outrage was something deeper, an identity crisis. Within just a week of launching New Coke, Coca-Cola realized they had made a massive mistake. The company's phone lines were overwhelmed with more than 1,000 angry calls a day. These weren't just casual complaints, they were emotional, passionate pleas from loyal fans who felt betrayed. Some people even broke down crying over the loss of their beloved drink. In cities across the US, supermarkets experienced a strange kind of panic buying. People were snatching up every last can and bottle of the original Coke they could find. One man from Texas went so far as to rent a warehouse just to stockpile hundreds of cases of the old formula. A woman from Mississippi wrote in, saying, "The change felt like a death in the family." That's how personal this drink was to people. This wasn't just a product change, it was a cultural shock. Coca-Cola thought they were offering a better tasting soda, but instead, they had unknowingly erased a piece of people's history. The backlash was so sudden and intense that it caught everyone off guard. The media poured gasoline on the fire. What is Coca-Cola without its taste? Coca-Cola's problem wasn't just about flavor. It was about identity. People grew up with that original taste. It was part of family traditions, parties, celebrations. When Coca-Cola changed it, they erased more than a recipe. They erased feelings. This emotional connection is why people rebelled. It wasn't just soda, it was nostalgia in a bottle. Like the way people associate shows like The Manny Show or The Manny Show TikTok with certain moments in their life, Coca-Cola was connected to memories. Taking that away created a void no new formula could fill. Meanwhile, Pepsi was celebrating. The media exploded with coverage. Late-night hosts joked about it. News stations ran emotional pieces. People were forming protest groups like Old Cola Drinkers of America. Even top 10 list shows started naming it the worst product launch of the decade. Some customers even reported being pulled over by the police for speeding, only to reveal they were racing to get the last cans of original Coke from a nearby store. Sounds wild, but that's how intense it got. Behind the scenes, Coca-Cola executives were overwhelmed. They thought they were being smart. Instead, they were watching their empire unravel in real time. So Coca-Cola did something rare, something big brands almost never do. Pepsi's CEO was thrilled. He even sent a thank you note to Coca-Cola, joking that they had given Pepsi a gift. And for a short time, Pepsi did pass Coca-Cola in market share for the first time ever. But it didn't last long. As much as people liked Pepsi, they wanted their Coke back. The one they remembered from their childhood. The one with the taste that never changed. This scenario is like when Thea Lawson's briefly gained traction online, but couldn't sustain it. Popularity without foundation doesn't last. And the results spoke for themselves. After 79 days of chaos, Coca-Cola finally gave in. They held a press conference and announced that the original formula would return as Coca-Cola Classic. The reaction was massive. People cried. Some stores sold out within hours. Suddenly, Coca-Cola wasn't the villain anymore. They were the brand that listened. The move marked the second creation of Coca-Cola as a brand people could trust again. But when you zoom out, there's one big takeaway that still matters today. Within months of bringing back Coca-Cola Classic, sales surged. Pepsi dropped back to second place. Coca-Cola had survived the storm. And oddly enough, the mistake made people more loyal than ever. Sometimes, owning your mistake is the best strategy, and that's exactly what Coca-Cola did. This whole saga is studied today in business schools, marketing books, and documentaries. It's right up there with the Manny Show, and the Manny Show stories that take unexpected turns but keep audiences hooked. So, what's the biggest takeaway here? It's simple. Listen to your audience, understand what they love, and never assume newer means better. Coca-Cola learned that people value more than just flavor. They value tradition, trust, and consistency. One mistake cost them $10 billion, but admitting that mistake saved the company. This story is more than just about soda. It's about knowing your roots and respecting your customers. Because once you lose that trust, even the biggest brand in the world can fall. If this story surprised you, drop a like and share it with someone who still drinks Coca-Cola today. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. We tell the stories others don't, right from the edge of business, pop culture, and everything in between. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.